questions, I've invited one of America's leading holistic veterinarians, Dr. Robert Goldstein, to share his insights. Nice to have you.
Nice to be here, Gary.
What are causing these conditions?
I think there's a number of reasons. One would be genetics, a lot of inbreeding. We mass produce animals for sale. That would be number one. Our diets are totally improper. They're all leftover wastes of the human food industry.
The commercial diets that are prepared now are actually formulated from diseased, rendered, or slaughterhouse remains that are then processed, and we're getting actually rejected meat byproducts in the food, whether it's bone meal that is derived from sick animals, cancer-ridden animals that are actually rejected for the human population, are then taken and prepared as a commercial diet. Now, a lot of these are then processed with high temperatures, and it destroys or denatures the nutrients that you need, that you're actually trying to give your pet. So with the nutrients then already sacrificed by the processing, and you're taking inferior quality nutrients and putting it in there, we find that we have disease that's actually being produced.
Evolution has not found a way to handle all the artificial chemicals going into the body of an animal.
May I interject something
Sure.
here so I don't forget it?
Yeah.
BHT, BHA, ethoxyquin. Remember, BHT, BHA, and ethoxyquin. And if you see that on the label, forget it. Because those are preservatives which actually get to the point where they affect the breeding ability and the genetics and the DNA of the animals so that more problems are created. Remember that. Those three preservatives are deadly, and don't give them to your animals at all. If you happen to see that on the label, just forget about it.
We have environmental pollutants. We have chemical flea collars and chemical flea products, powders, shampoos. All this added together can weaken the animal's immune system. When the immune system gets weakened, that's when cancer and other degenerative diseases can come to the surface.
So it really it's not as if there's cancer and hip dysplasia and arthritis and diabetes and kidney failure as individual and unique entities. It's certain common causes like pollution of their environment, adulteration of their diet, using toxic, dead, diseased, rendered animals that go back into animal feed. This is what's causing all these conditions.
Yes, the common denominator is the immune system. The immune system is being bombarded. They're genetically weakened to begin with. It gets bombarded, it gets weakened, and then a chronic degenerative disease, no matter what the disease is, will then show up.
So it's wherever the animal is most vulnerable is how
Exactly.
the disease will manifest.
Yes, that's correct.
The basic problem with conventional medicine is that it sees the symptoms as the disease. Basically, the symptoms are just an expression of an inner imbalance of the body, and actually the body trying to fight off the disease. So when the doctors use the medicines such as antibiotics and steroids and antiemetics and antidiuretics, they're actually working against the body. We're actually not healing the body at all, but suppressing the symptoms and causing worse problems that can show up later on in life.
It might surprise you to realize we have almost 7 million horse owners in the United States. Question is, how long should a horse live? What should they eat? How could we take better care of them? Dr. Judith Shoemaker, what are the primary conditions that horses suffer from?
I think there are 5 basic categories of problems that we see. The most common is chronic repetitive lamenesses and injuries to feet and joints. The second one is muscular injuries, sports injuries, training problems, oftentimes balance problems, TMJ problems that interfere with the horse's performance. The third is probably immune-mediated disease, skin allergies, food allergies, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, moon blindness. The fourth, I would say, would be hormonal dysfunction, emotional disturbances, again, causing training problems, breeding problems, and quite severe problems for the animals and their owners. And the fifth, catastrophic gastrointestinal disturbances, colic, and the diseases of old age, tumors, and other problems that we see in people.
How many of those conditions are preventable?
Most of them are preventable. They're much more easily prevented than they are treated. The chronic lamenesses are most of the time due to imbalance in shoeing, inappropriate management of exercise, and oddly enough, management of the teeth. So the way that the animal is trained, the way that his equipment fits, and how much he's turned out. Those all have incredible importance in management and avoiding chronic lameness. Sports injuries as well are a function of proper management. They are rarely just bad luck.
How is it that ferrets are not living as long as they should live? And what are the conditions that ferrets suffer from that you believe can be prevented?
Well, I think ferrets don't live as long for the same reason that dogs and cats don't live as long as they should, and that is because we feed them processed foods that are cooked and that really are very difficult to digest and also don't have the full spectrum of nutrition that they should. The owners should feed raw food, especially raw meat. And if you can't feed raw, then at least add supplements in terms of digestive enzymes. And that's very important that you also do give bacteria to the intestines, because we tend to give sterilized food when we buy foods from a pet store. And also that you give those, of course, phytonutrients. Now, they can't have phytonutrients in the form of a lot of vegetables and fruits. They love to eat them, they love sweet things, but you want to give those things without all the fiber. They can't have more than about 4% fiber, and so the juicing is a very good idea for ferrets, so that they get all those nutrients without the negative for them, which is the fiber.
What are the primary illnesses that ferrets will suffer from, and why?
Well, the things that I, as a veterinarian, come across a lot, besides obvious things like ear mites and other parasites, are hormonal imbalances, such as adrenal gland tumors, such as insulinomas. That's a little tiny tumor on the pancreas that causes them to seizure. And also an infectious disease called canine distemper. These are the common things that I'll see. But also, as an emergency, them being so curious and so willing to try out different things around the house, often have to take out foreign bodies from inside the intestines. So the cause of that is obvious. The cause of the canine distemper is a virus. But you asked also about these other things, the hormonal imbalances. Possible causes of the hormonal imbalances are the fact that ferrets nowadays are neutered so early. They're spayed or castrated at a very young age, only a couple weeks old. And this is by law now.
But that's because their hormones have not fully developed.
Right, and they haven't had a chance to establish the normal rhythms and balances in their body. So we have off-balanced them, I suppose.
Right.
So that's possibly a reason.
And you can over-vaccinate them, too.
Vaccines probably are a very important cause, too. But why do some ferrets that are vaccinated and that have that are neutered early not have these problems? Probably nutrition is a very important part of everything, besides genetics.
Good.
And I think by giving them the proper nutrition, we'll at least remove that as a possible cause and maximize their chances of not having to see the veterinarian other than for routine visits.
I appreciate you being on, sharing these insights. Thank you.
It's a very pleasure.
I've invited Dr. Lori Hess, a veterinarian, to share her insights. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
Do you have any idea how many people own rabbits?
I would say a great number of people. I know in my practice, rabbits are certainly one of the most common species that we see. They make fairly good apartment pets because they're small, they don't require a tremendous amount of space, and they're fairly easy to keep as a small pet in an apartment. So in New York City,
how long do rabbits live?
It really depends on the breed of rabbit, the size. They can